wet at the beach. Have to beat these little kids all day. Shame that you have to beat them all day like this. Okay. All right. All right. Huh? Damn you. Oh no. Yay! There we go. Yep. Give it a second. Listen to the musical stylings of, what is this dude's name? Lakey Inspired. There we go. Because we know we're gonna be fucking doing that. And gotta get to the bottom of this, the real shit, boys. Oh man. Alright. What are we doing? I know. What I know. I now know what we're doing. What we're going to do. So do it. Where did the video go? There it is. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Doom, doom. Alright. Dark. We're okay, I guess. Hold on. I gotta turn off the thing that makes it automatic light, because it's really irritating and stupid. Kill it. With this, mine own dick. Come on. Give me settings. There you go. Sit on. Yeah. Low light compensation. Get out of here. Focus off. Autofocus. As the kids say, big gay. You look okay. Alright, we're fine. Great. Alright, I'll delay this. Get back. Bam. Alright. Oh, wait. So many. SU. Success. Decide. I love it. Good. Nice. Alright. Live again. There we go. Oh, get it, you get it. Alright. Fuck, now where were we with this thing? Right? You cited a bunch of odd, like, just examples. And at least two of the articles that he cited or whatever, didn't actually say what he said they say. And then like we're just laying out weird conspiracy theories about whatever, when actually it's just about the struggle of being a smaller YouTuber and attempting to cultivate an audience as well as maintain one that's actually getting our boy down here. So that's that. Oh my god, what's wrong with my voice? Hello. Oh, what is that? Water? Oh, that's fine. We're fine. Whatever.
Usually works. Like you get a warning, don't do this. Then you start getting, suspensions and things. That seems a reasonable way for me to deal with it. And again, I'm not saying this is because I have a right to be comfortable, to be not offended. Like, I mean, we're on YouTube right now. I understand that people in the comments section are going to say horrible things about me, and
we're both Jewish, apparently.
Contra was clearly actively avoiding answering the question initially, because if those two statements came immediately after each other in a clear way, it would prove that Peterson was entirely correct, and that people like Contra do precisely want exactly what he feared. A way to persecute non-intersectional gender deconstructionist people on campus and in workplace environments, helping to give the far left leverage in ruining the lives of anybody who crosses them, as they can always blow the whistle on accidental misgendering of usually white, obviously female-looking people like this, if you don't call this person they. And so...
Okay. So, I don't know what the fuck female looking is supposed to mean. And also, no. No, Peterson's fucking stupid on the law on C16. This has been debunked to hell. It's over. He doesn't even talk about that shit anymore. It's over. No one's ever gone to jail for this. No, in fact, we don't even have any real evidence of fines that are supposed to be there, right? Because the most misgendering that does happen, I'm gonna say, because I don't believe that everyone's just so evil, are on accident, and they're not, and that's not what that law or the law in New York City fucking says. It doesn't say if you accidentally fucking misgender somebody, they can take you to court. Like, no, you have to do it maliciously. You do it on purpose. Once you know and you continue, now you're engaging in bullying or harassment based around that person's gender identity. That's what it is. Like, that's what it is. It's the same thing with like fucking sexual harassment laws or whatever. Once you know that this person is uncomfortable, you must stop. That's all that is. I don't know why this triggers the fucking conservatives so bad, but like that's not how that works. Okay, stop it. It's not like it's over. No, he was wrong. No one's gonna use this stupid shit to try and ruin someone's life. Even if someone did, it would be such a petty, dumb thing to try to do because it's a fucking fine. It's a fine. And as far as I'm aware, you can get on payment plans to pay fines and stuff. Like, it wouldn't even do anything to you if they did do it. It's not like it's gonna go on your fucking record or whatever. Like, you got whatever, like get arrested and other shit. Like, no. In our case, would be a nightmare to prosecute. What are we talking about? Oh, you mean like if it was done? Yeah, like if it's done on accident, it would be way too nebulous and hard to prove that they did it on purpose. Even in general, even if you did do it on purpose, it'd be pretty hard to prove that they did it on purpose. Like, you would have to document every single, like, you have to document when you told them, then you have to document when they did it again, and when they did it again, and when they did it again, etc. Right? Like, you have to, like, there's so much that would go into that. It wouldn't be something that you could just easily just accuse someone of, and then they would show up and end up getting a fine. Like, no, they would still have their hearing, and it would be on you, the person accusing them, to prove that they did it. Like, that's what that is. And it's really weird to go like, oh, they want to use this as a weapon. Like, if it is, it's a really shitty weapon, my man. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. Seems like, I don't know. It would have to be super extreme. Yeah, like, it would have to be very demonstrably obvious harassment of a trans person on their on the basis of their gender identity, and that person would have to prove it. Using such a joke. Yeah, just about like everything outside of his own like field, he is oof. He's just a big oofarino. But yeah, what's going on? What is this? Evil Robot Jeff. I had no idea that you had an interest in stuff like this. What's going on, man? Agent Black Dog. Oh, I've seen you around before. And let me think. I think you were in the chat on one of Puro's live streams he did to Kazoom, and I think you were in Kazoom's comment section before. How's it going, man? And some other places, actually. How's it going, dude? Nice to finally talk to you.
So, if Contra is so incredibly cagey and unwilling to answer questions, is it any wonder why they merely give lip service to the concept of speaking to the right, but has also essentially bragged about the fact that they won't do debates?
It's not true. She was gonna do a fucking debate meme with fucking oh my god, Blair White at that little convention thing, and then all the tickets and stuff were supposed to go to charity, and Blair backed out. Blair's a conservative. She identifies as a fucking conservative. and she was going to debate, and she backed out. How is it that she doesn't? She just pays lip service. That's not lip service. She real deal Holyfield was gonna do it, and as far as I know, she still showed up to the venue, and like had like some talk and whatever. Like that's what happened. That's the reality. I'm sorry, your side backed out. That's what happened. I'm sorry that I don't know. Maybe he's even got a conspiracy theory for that, like why that happened. It actually happened because I don't know. Maybe Blair White thought her life was in danger and blah blah blah. But as far as I know, because I was definitely extremely online at that point, I don't remember seeing that like at all.
If Dave Rubin ever left his echo chamber, would either of you ever go on his show, and how do you think like that would work out?
Well, I mean, on my channel there's been kind of an ongoing joke about me trying to go on his show. Like, for the time being, I kind of don't do anything like that. Like, I just been turning all these things down because I just don't feel like dealing with it.
This is not backing down from a debate. What Dave Rubin does isn't even a debate. He just gives you an interview and gives you softball questions and lets you just kind of just go off on your own fucking memes. Like, what? How is saying that I wouldn't want to be on his show or anything like that because I don't want to deal with that? Like, what? And even if I do, let's say if we take his interpretation, saying that you don't want to deal with particular people in particular styles of debate doesn't mean that you don't want to deal with debate at all. You just don't want to deal with these particular kinds of people, either because they're irritating, they'll purposely try to fuck with the discussion by, attempting to trigger you, by like misgendering you in her case or whatever it is. Like, right, like they're not gonna engage with you in good faith. Like, that's pretty like standard. And also, if he's so like big hardcore into like, oh, you won't debate, you're a blah blah, you're a weakling and a da da da, and you're a shill and a liar. You don't actually do or believe the things that you say. He should probably be up in arms about Jordan Peterson, who has backed out from offers of debate from Marxists. I think now he's got one set up with Zizek, but there's at least two other examples where he definitely declined. His excuse seemed to be, I don't know, my brain is just so fucking, it's just so up there. There's no reason for me to deal with these people or whatever it was. Like, weird. I don't know, but I don't think our friend here has any videos about that, but okay. And Rubin won't debate Sam Sater. That's true. That is true. He won't. But honestly, he won't debate anybody, actually. Like, I don't think it's just Sam, but he's probably especially afraid of Sam because, like, just Sam is just like, no bullshit, whatever. Like, he won't let you pivot. He won't let you whatever. He's right on top of it. Like, he's on everything. He attacks if you're using a term that's wrong. Like, just, dude, like, you've seen like when people who oppose them call into his show, it's fucking vicious. Like, while also still trying to be courteous, but it's like, man, that he can't. Yeah, he honestly probably can't. Honestly, like, I don't think that like I don't know. Is he a failed stand-up comedian? I don't know. Was Rubin successful in comedy? I don't know, but a former comedian turned political head nodder is not really much in the way of a debate partner. I don't know. Rubin can't debate with anyone. It's true. He did have that light. He did give a little bit of a light tap, a light little tap. to fucking Stefan Molyneux when he came on pushing his race realist memes. That was that. I feel like he just like I don't think that's real. And even if it is real, I don't think that it matters. It's whatever our democracy or whatever. Like I think that's the most pushback I've seen from him, honestly. Remember when he was just sitting there while fucking Candace Owens and fucking Blair White were just going at it? Oh, dude, that was such a good meme. Oh my god. Oh shit. He was Dave Springer that day. I love it.
I hope I get to a point where I sort of get over that. Ruben I may make an exception for because it's been such a trope that I feel like if anyone gave me trouble for that, I could simply point them to everything I've ever said about him. Yeah.
Contra knows they'd lose. Yet, of course, Contra's sock puppet army would try to have you believe that, well, Natalie makes videos that are designed to appeal to the right wing.
Oh, that they'd lose. But they'd lose a debate with who? Dave Rubin? You can't have a debate with a guy who's just gonna nod his head as you speak. That's not a debate. Like that's it's quite literally a circle jerk. Who basically it seems like whoever goes on his show. But also, she said that she would hope that she would get over the idea because she doesn't. That's not that she's just afraid of debate. She's also afraid of being accused of empowering shitty views. But hey, you shut the hell up. Come with this. I don't know. Tempted to put her ass outside. Oh. I guess, but I don't know. When is your mother showing up? Elijah, give your mother this phone. God damn it. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, she literally said that she wants to get over that. And part of that is not just being afraid of these people, it's being also afraid of us, her audience. Because sometimes if she does perform poorly, or we feel like she doesn't push back hard enough on certain ideas, that it'll look like she just kind of went on and pulled a Dave Rubin, and that would be bad. And people would hate. Oh, tomato glue. Thanks, man, for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Welcome aboard, dude. Thanks for hanging on. I'm gonna get you the Discord link in a second here, okay? You just didn't finish this thought. God damn it, what was I gonna say? But yeah, like pushback for her from her audience, possibly performing poorly and like making discourse worse, etc. Like there's a lot more to it than she knows that she lose, so she doesn't engage. Like, come on. Like there's so much more nuance than that. But you know, there's never nuance when it comes to those of us pinkos. It's all about there's always nuance when we're talking about these idiots with their racist old grandpa politics.
That's what Natalie means when she says,
Don't worry about it. I don't really use it very much. Okay, cool. These are already guidance shit for appearing on streams before. Yeah. Hold on a second. All right. What are we doing? I'm sorry. Oh. I could not follow him. That's a thick ass mustache. You know, I try, man. I'm trying to take better care of this thing. You know, I got a. Well, it's in the bathroom, but I got like a little comb for it, a little brush. Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. Love it. Okay. I'm arguing with the 40. With the what? 45-year-old racist grandpa on Facebook right now. It be like that, dude. And the worst, it's so weird to meet people who are so young who share politics with old ass people I know. It's so strange. Like it's so weird. I don't know. Like fuck, dude. It's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know. Oh shit, dude. But you know, boomers a mentality, not just the age demographic.
As she speaks to the right wing. As if that's the same as communicating with right-wing people, which it isn't. Or as if that's even true, because practically all Contra ever does is mock and lie about right-wing and even centrists in the videos.
And of course,
Mock and or lie. That's, you have to show where she lied. Like you can't just what? Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear this.
another advantage of using innocuous symbols is that when leftists try to point those symbols out, the fascists can always say,
"These gullible SJWs now think that even the OK sign is racist. Is there anything they don't think is racist?"
and the gullible centrists will be taken right in. The poor centrists, they're so afraid that Antifa is going to punch them because of their hair or their emoji, and you know, some leftists are assholes or idiots.
Funny how, according to Contra, I guess everybody who is right of centrism is a fascist, while centrist channels are sandboxed on YouTube and shadow banned in most places, and the
What? He's talking about, so the only evidence you have for that is yourself, and you know that you engage in things that would obviously end up with you getting dicked around, including also the way how YouTube's algorithm is set up. So I talked about this way much earlier, and I know we got some newer people here now. So on YouTube, what tends to happen is, say you start a new channel, the algorithm works really well for you, which is why we see all these breakout like stars of like people with like tiny little channels that were, and then they're like breakout like leftist stars or whatever, because it works the best there. So as long as you're optimizing your shit, using decent thumbnails, good titles, tags, etc., and you're not necessarily, you know, memeing too close to the sun, where you're getting flagged for like hate speech stuff or copyright, you tend to do okay. Now, what it also does though is that and also you have to be producing content fairly regularly. So once you get to a certain size, maybe a couple thousand, somewhere like around here, you have to be producing so frequently to an extent to maintain to keep getting those views and that watch time, so the algorithm will continue to recommend you to people. What he's mad about is that, as far as I know, because I remember he was very active at one point and then got a little less active, and videos start to trickle out. You know, the span between videos starts to become longer and longer. That's not good for you, especially when you have the larger, like the somewhat of larger platform, right? That's why, like, if you like remember, I think it was like, I think I saw like a video of like MatPat even like discussing this, that when you're a YouTuber, even when you're larger, you still have to keep pushing, you have to keep grinding, you have to keep putting stuff out on a very regular basis, at least within like 2 weeks or so, in order to keep that shit up, so that you can end up continue to be recommended and stay in your spot, right? Like going like a month or so and being huge, it's a big risk. Ugh. And if you're someone like this, where at least you have their subscription fees, and sometimes that doesn't always work, like that recommended, man, channels are living and dying by it, and you're not optimizing yourself and your channel and your behaviors so that you can be recommended. And now you're upset that you're not being recommended. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Fucking shit or get off the pot. That's what happened. Not just because you're a centrist or whatever. Maybe the demonetization, yeah, because of shit that you say, like the feminist blah blah blah, the race this that. They'll be like, of course that shit, all shit like that. No matter whose perspective actually is being dictated in the video, that's titled like that and stuff like that, gets demonetized. Like, this weird shit is just stupid. I'm sorry. I just when right wingers act like they're victims because they don't do YouTube right, it's just ugh. But then there's also like this weird thing, like everyone's right of center is a fat, like, not really. She never even said that. Nowhere in that clip that he just showed did she, in the clip that he just showed, did she say that everyone right of center is a fascist, or even implied that people right of center are fascist. Like, when did that happen? When did she say that? And like, he says that she lies about right-wing people and centrists, but you didn't show a chart, like a clip or whatever, of her lying about those two demos. Like, you didn't do that. Like, none of, like, you have to prove that those are lies.
The only channels that don't seem to be sampling.
It was put a good thumbnail and kind of like debating a fascist gone sexual. Man, that stuff helps. Put a butt or a boob up there, you got it. Oh, I keep thinking it's my cat's meowing. Yeah, that's me. That's Daisy. Say hello. Okay, now she doesn't want to talk. Now she don't want to meow anymore. All right, embarrassing me. That's fine. I feel like I'm home. Making an insane conclusion. Never support it. It's their way. Yeah.
Sandbox are progressives, which has been a communist dog whistle since at least the 40s. Obviously, Contra avoids talking to actual right-wing people.
A communist dog whistle? The 1940s? What? Fucking Teddy Roosevelt was considered a progressive. The fucking progressive era, one of its biggest things that happened during that time was prohibition. That shit is not a fucking dog whistle for being commie. What? What is this? What is he talking about? And during that time, like, people just identified as socialists or whatever. It wasn't until like really well into the 50s and the 60s that we would just absolutely, like, people by and large abandoned that label due to fucking, McCarthyist bullshit. Like, what? What? That makes no sense. Maybe some whatever communist would be described as being progressive or not progressive, but like in the context, that's about like whether you're like a really all in workers of the world unite, the gays, the blacks, the Jews, blah blah blah, or if you're like Stalin and put homosexuals and other types of people like that in camps or whatever. Right? Like that's kind of like what we're referring to. I am so confused. Where is the theater? Oh, look up Roosevelt icon. It's in a text message right there. It's like one of those automated text numbers, and it has a link to the tickets. Yeah, what is it? Hold on, I'm gonna look up the address. Hold on, you guys. That's I'm done here. Go out, go see us. So John. Yeah. Is it this? Yep. That's Icon Theaters at the bam. There you go. He's in the chat right now. All right, I put it in the thing. All right, what are we doing? What is with Prince of Queens? I have no idea. Like, it feels like over time he just got crazier and crazier. I feel like the same thing has happened to kids. Like, I have no idea what is with this. What is with white gay men who have like who are like right wingly inclined, as like they just get crazier and crazier. And I can't, like, when kids start meowing, you know it's time to abort. Shut up. Oh god, but like it's really weird. Like, it's really weird. I can't. Like, I can't. Like, I can't. And also, he unironically calls himself like a red pillar. And I'm just like, what is this? What does this mean? What is happening? Like, I guess it's fine, right? You don't have to be a progressive just because you're gay. That's wrong. It's just so weird for him to be so reactionary and so young and gay. Also, these conspiracy theories, like, would seem like, I don't know, like, so weird.
Because Contra doesn't actually understand right-wing arguments, and has even admitted that they did.
Like the pickup artist kind. I mean, pickup artists and say MGTOW, and I guess you could also say MRAs, because I think that's what he is, an MRA. All buy into and believe in the red pill ideology thing. You know, we're waking up, and actually men are the ones who are men's are the ones who are oppressed the gender conversation, actually. Or, well, moderate ones might say, like, well, both get shit in some ways, and there's disadvantages and advantages to being either or whatever. But the general thesis is that, like, you know, men don't play the role of oppressor when we're talking about gender hierarchy and oppression and all that jazz. You know, we're actually on the bottom. We've been lied to our whole life. All right. Please pay no mind to the red pill being a metaphor about, you know, being trans. But okay.
Didn't understand libertarianism in the least when they were in freaking grad school for philosophy, which is weird because libertarianism is fairly philosophical last time I checked.
And the reading we were discussing that
Libertarian is all fucking political ideologies are philosophical. What the fuck does that mean? Like, what does this mean? Also, you don't understand libertarianism. You probably think it's some stupid fucking right wing leave my weed and fucking tax money alone or whatever shit. It's not. That's the reappropriation of the term. Libertarian it was how people would refer to themselves on the left when they oppose things like fucking Marxist Leninism, etc. But they weren't necessarily outright anarchists, right? They just had like those tendencies or whatever kind of flow through their ideology, right? Like, they're not completely opposed to the state. Still dudes back then. Checkmate lives. Oh shit, dude. Someone probably unironically was gonna say that. I feel like we would get way more people just like that. I did have one guy in here before. Like, I started to have internet issues, but there was this one guy in here. I forget what his name was. Some shit. He was like just cursing me out and calling me retarded and all this other shit, and saying that I was straw manning this guy. which I don't know. I for as far as I know, I've just addressed every single thing that he's said. But you know, that was like his thing. I'm half retarded, and like it was weird meme, weird vibes from both of them. Like, yeah, they're both of them. I think are identifying themselves as red pilled or something, which is probably why. It's probably always a bad sign. Give up what they love. It's true. Well, I mean, they can apparently. I mean, they got rid of their Gillette razors, their Nike shoes and socks, their fucking blenders, and coffee machines. You know, whatever it is, regular libs, they'll give it up. All right.
that week was libertarian philosopher Robert Nozick's book, Anarchy, State, and Utopia. None of us were able to mount any kind of plausible argument against Nozick, not because Nozick is correct, but because we as a group had no experience arguing with anything that far to the right.
Regardless, I do understand right-wing arguments as well as left-wing arguments, so I want to actually talk about Contra's content, because that's honestly what is most concerning to me, and I don't think all that many people understand just how wretched it is. You see, I've said numerous times that Contra is the worst channel on YouTube, and I legitimately mean that, but what I think people aren't following about my statement is that I'm not saying that the videos are the most poorly made technically, or even the least entertaining videos on the platform. No, in spite of the fact that I find them incessantly boring and can't stand literally anybody who spends about 95% of their often 45-minute videos avoiding any actual substance regarding simple arguments that I could easily formulate in about 5 minutes, I will concede that I can see why some people find these videos entertaining, and
I went over this way earlier, but like it's a visual medium. You gotta do that. It's the razzmatazz. You gotta fucking hit them with the razzle and the dazzle. I'm sorry. The YouTube's changed since we came up on it. Okay, people don't want whatever. Like, there's a reason why me just sitting here reacting to your shit, just more than likely, even if I do let these fucking live streams go up live, like as archived videos and publicly, they more than likely, unless I kind of shill them around pretty well on other social media platforms, are not gonna do that well, right? Because this just isn't that visually interesting. I guess my face camera or whatever is pretty good, whatever. Like, but in general, like that's not how this works anymore. Like, what? Also, I would imagine that someone like Prince of Queens would end up attempting to attack Contra on the basis of how many patrons he has on Patreon, how much money she is likely getting on Patreon, to fucking, to attack her for like still only uploading 5 to 10, maybe only 15-minute videos. Right, so you're getting all this money a month, but your videos are anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, and they're just like really all basic arguments. But like this same video would still end up being made. This is bad faith bullshit, and she knows it. He knows it. All right. Yeah, that's what you. Dash is dope. What's talking about? Oh, this? Thanks, man. Oh, maybe that'll be the thing, right?
I'll admit that they're technically well put together. However, Contrapoints is nothing more than a blatant propagandist. And while
so are you. So am I. Propaganda is literally anything in the form of print, video, interactive medium, like anything, any piece of media, anything produced with the express purposes of attempting to elicit some kind of emotional reaction. What you want to do here is elicit the emotional reaction of someone someone disliking Contrapoints. That's what you want, right? That's what you made this for, because you want other people to see things how you see them, and then take on your point of view. And changing their point of view, like, I know that they think that, like, oh, that's a super, like, rational, hyper rational, like, objective bullshit. Like, no, for the most part, changing worldviews is a complex interaction between rational thought and emotion. And you can get to, like, the rational thought thing, right? Because there might be people who might think things or whatever who are Contra fans and maybe think some of your criticism, like, yeah, maybe her stuff is a little fluffy, blah, 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 blah. But since they're emotionally attached to Contra, they won't abandon her. So you want that. Whether you admit it or not, you want that. And that makes this propaganda. That makes this stream propaganda. Makes her videos, ads. The ads that are likely fucking that people are seeing before, you know, they get to watch this stream on Twitch are also propaganda. They're propaganda for the products. It's there. It's made to elicit emotional reaction. It wants you to want to have a desire towards this particular product or service. This is stupid. Now, if you want to be specific and say it's political propaganda, then I would just give the same speech, and that would also include your video, my video, and so many others. Like just for everybody who makes political content. But that's just it. This is not an argument. This is not a criticism.
Well, I'll admit that it's actually fairly sophisticated and well thought out propaganda.
My views are reality. They're the only thing that isn't propaganda. Oh, boys, you know, when you are a Marvel multiversal mind, such as our boy here, you got it all figured out. Everything that you believe is completely the as the kids say, the facts. And everyone else only has the feels. And they just need to sit down, shut up, and listen to you. And know why your opinion of a particular YouTuber is actually reality. And they're not actually good. They're just some sort of corporate-backed shill. Which, by the way, anyone just tuning in, that was the central thesis of this video. Up until this point where he's, I guess, going to start talking about her content. His argument is that she, as well as Anita Sarkeesian, were corporate-backed lefto plants sent in with a certain amount of budget and whatever and promotion. What's wrong with you? To subvert the YouTubers that people actually like, you know, i.e. him and all the other like right-wing fucking weirdos all over YouTube who some are starting to somewhat see their channels kind of stagnate.
That only makes me loathe it all the more, as dishonesty that people are going to be more apt to mistake for well-reasoned arguments is the most dangerous kind. I'll go through a few examples of Contra's video dishonesty in a moment, but I first want to briefly explain how Contra's style of dishonesty works. Generally, Contra relies on three major tactics to make it appear that Contra has presented
this stuff's pretty well liked. They just aren't expanding like that. And to an extent, there are people who, you know, who are converting due to people like Contra or Destiny, maybe even Philosophy Tube, whatever. Why are you here, Kat?
To the audience, when upon further examination that's anything but the truth. The tactics tend to be dishonestly framing the topics of conversation into what Contra wants the audience to believe somebody else was talking about, engaging in self-contradictory doublethink madness to pay lip service to oppositional views without actually addressing those, and accusing people of the literal exact things that Contra and other leftist propagandists do regularly, things which the people being accused of often don't do, assuming these people even exist and that they aren't straw men of fictitious fascists or whatever. Here's an example of reframing, where Contra strawmans their political opponent's speech or vernacular into something it clearly wasn't intended to be. Note that there's a frenetic visual background behind the text presented, obscuring the viewer's ability to read it easily, while unnecessary music is being played. This is psychologically disarming and a propaganda tactic itself, designed to obstruct people's critical thinking, but I'll get back to that later.
How do I know this? Okay.
To begin, let's take a look at what fascism is. Contemporary fascists share three core beliefs. 1. People of European heritage are or ought to constitute a biological, cultural, and political unity known as the white race, sometimes dog-whistled as Western culture.
This is obviously one of many attempts Contrapoints and their comrades utilize to delegitimize this common phrase that's been around for probably over 100 years, which I remember even far leftists using in the 90s to describe capitalistic liberal democracies who mostly speak English or Romantic languages, generally in North America and Europe, but also in Australia. The term is even used to describe places like Japan
Who can read
and
this?
Hong Kong due to their ties to the United States government as well as European ones. No, Contra. Clearly not even a vaguely significant portion of people who refer to Western culture are referring to white identitarianism. And I believe you actually know that perfectly well, which is...
That's not true. There are literally plenty of people who are using it in that way. Stefan Molyneux was huge on this platform, and he does that all the fucking time. All the fucking time. You're bullshit. When these people, especially on the right, call something or someone fucking Western, they're not talking about me. Do you know how long me and my fucking bloodline have been technically in the West? Probably fucking dude, what the fuck? I think my family's bloodline is older, as far as going back as being rooted in a Western country, is older than the fucking vaccination for fucking polio. And they're not, when they put pictures and slideshows up and they're talking about Western society and Western people, they're not talking about me. When Sargon talks about the West, he's not talking about me or the black people who live in London. He's talking about white people. And you see it in the visual representations that they use in their videos. You're a lying piece of shit. Oh my God. You are total bullshit. Total intellectual dishonesty. This is bullshit. Total bullshit. Almost everyone who uses that fucking phrase, if they're not on the left and is referring to what he's referring to and criticizing it, it's a dog whistle for, white people.
It's what really creeps me out about you, and must play a role in why you won't debate. In fact, I'm completely confident Contra purposefully tries to help the ADL and Hillary Clinton era 2016 to label all sorts of things as alt-right dog whistles, with the explicit intention on making the left paranoid so that the red and blacks can be more easily radicalized because Contra is their internet queen.
This ideology.
What the fuck is this? It gets into his own weird, intellectually dishonest criticism of her content. And then we jump right back into fucking conspiracy theories. What is with this person? What's wrong with you? Why do you do this? You don't have to do that. There was no reason to jump off into this weird thing about Hillary Clinton and fucking the red and blacks or whatever the fuck. You don't have to do that. Also, there's plenty of videos where she's shown that she's not really that much in support of anti-fascist action in the streets. So it's really weird to say that she's their queen and she wants to fucking help further radicalize and whatever. Stop that. What the fuck? Oh my God.
He was.
We're
deep
almost
in
done with
it,
this video, though.
and
Okay.
he was
I'm
repeating
actually
back
at
to
the
me
goal.
all the things that I believed.
And so it's something
That I watched that video, and he just murdered those fucking people. They didn't even put up a fight. He just slaughtered them. And
what does this
then
have
I
to
saw
do with
the
anything?
memes. He was memeing the whole time, and it made me realize that. I had shared those same memes. Some of them I shared ironically, because I thought they were ridiculous and I was shit posting, and some of them I saw as spreading my message. And I realized how this wasn't an isolated thing. This wasn't just something that I was going through, that I was influencing the world.
I
Away
mean,
joke
after the New
incoming?
Zealand tragedy
Maybe?
and this oh so sincere guy, Contra gets to say, "See, I told you so. My propaganda career is justified. I'm not, like, happy, though." But even if memes magically, by themselves, actually really radicalized the guy in New Zealand, who is more responsible for that, Contra? You with your 1.2 million views on that video, who eagerly swore this stuff was true, or somebody like Sargon, who did everything he could to delegitimize Pepe as being alt-right. But I will be making an entire video about that topic. Regardless, this is a problem because Contra didn't just commit that intellectual sleight of hand in that one video by claiming fascists dog whistle white identitarianism by calling the West, but made an entire video based around delegitimizing the very concept of the West later in their career on a seemingly higher budget. In this video, which does everything it can to not be clear and concise,
I have no idea.
another psychologically disarming tactic.
Because you do that shit. He's talking about psychologically disarming tactics and shit. Using a mocking voice is a psychological tactic meant to make us view the person you're talking about in a negative light. That's the whole point of that trick. Like, everyone who does that, everyone who's ever done it, including myself, it's there to treat that person with derision and to inform the listeners that that they're annoying or someone that you probably shouldn't listen to because they're irritating or stupid or whatever. How is he talking about all this shit, about the manipulation of this and that, while also completely engaging in every bit of it, every single trick? Shut up, damn it! No, shut up! Yeah! No! 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 Shut up. Come on, man, shut up.
By the way, Contra basically argues that what most people consider the West is a combination of Judeo-Christian values and Enlightenment values, which means that the very concept of the West is somewhat unfounded because part of Enlightenment values is secularism and constant reformation, which means that Judeo-Christian values aren't an essential facet of it, at least any more than Islam might be, because Muslim scholars transcribed ancient Greek philosophy for a saint to read. Though that argument isn't really true, as it's possible for a society to be more or less Judeo-Christian culturally, but have a more or less secular government, not to mention also having a firm aversion to Islam, as Islam is diametrically oppositional to both Enlightenment and Judeo-Christian values. However, aside from spending way too long to fail at delegitimizing the concept of the West, in a way only somebody that isn't the least bit familiar with the European Enlightenment wouldn't notice, Contra does manage to slip in one actual argumentative talking point in that 23-minute video, which is...
So you didn't make an argument. Also, saying that it's possible, it doesn't matter whether or not that shit's possible. The point is that the way that people view it as being an integral part of being the West is, like, not true. The origins of, like, all these cultural institutions and particular things come from all over. Europe wasn't just, like, this weird, incredibly isolated place, right? Like, there were people from the Near East, people from North Africa, etc., in, parts of Europe, and their influence is very much so still felt. Also, Christianity technically is completely diametrically opposed also to Enlightenment values as well. Like, but Christians still contributed to, you know, the progress and ideas in regards to the Enlightenment. So like, I don't like. What was the point of that?
Movement comes along, like for instance a bunch of buzzkill sat sacks pointing out that actually our society is still pretty terrible to women, people of color, and gender and sexual minorities, it might not be the smartest thing to just dismiss it as some kind of sinister postmodern neo-Marxist cuckoldry. It could be the next Reformation, in a history marked by a series of reformations. If there are any historians watching this, please call it the SJW Reformation.
If you looked at that by itself, it would actually be very small, but what Contra managed to slip in was basically the whole point of the video. An actual dog whistle of its own to the veritably communist intersectional feminist far left, in which Contra is signaling to people already converted to the postmodern neo-Marxist ideology, better known currently as intersectional feminism, that they are on the same team and that they basically just want to topple the West.
Postmodernist Oh my god, I forgot. He's also a fucking he's a big Jeep fan. He's a fan of the Jeep. Oh, dude. Oh my god, postmodern neo-Marxist. Like that right there makes you feel like we should just stop, declare this person a moron, and just walk away. Postmodern neo-Marxists. Oh shit. Nope. The European exploration is also a myth. Oh yeah, boy, just like the Southern strategy. Lost or dead. Oh god, dude. Oh my god. He unironically invoked it. It's getting worse. Bruh, it's just as the video goes on, just like it all just slips away and away and away. And I bet he still like legitimately also probably played this back and still thought that he was like objective and all that stuff. Like, what the fuck, dude?
But to those not converted, Contra is first attempting to destroy their beliefs in the validity of the fabrics of the society that have thriving capitalistic liberal democracies and replace it with a new belief system called social justice, which has been a full-blown communist dog whistle for probably 6 decades. And of course, Contra isn't too shy about admitting their true colors in other videos.
And you got Marxism with its analysis of bourgeoisie and proletariat.
Next, here's an example of self-contradictory doublethink that I believe had to have been calculated and deliberate, and it's in this video about how race isn't real because Contra says so, due to the fact that the racial classifications that we more than often use to this day were drafted excessively long ago, back before genetic science was even a thing. Granted, this is true to a certain degree, but Contra then goes on to claim that race isn't real, as if Contra has some sort of great understanding of genetics, after being a Marxist who dropped out of a philosophy program at university, which is fairly obviously untrue if you actually know anything about genetics, which I kinda do, as I was the top of my class in the second genetics class I took at university.
So there are no distinctions.
You took the second class, and now you're the expert. No, actual experts, actual working geneticists say race is not a thing, especially not as we understand it. Humans genetically do not fit in good, discrete, categorically consistent boxes. That's not real. That's just not real. Race is not a thing. It's not. It's a social category that we've given to particular people who fit into particular phenotype. That's it. This person's a fucking moron. And it talks all this shit about like people in whatever science and all this other shit. Well, literally almost everything they say is a contradiction with the expert consensus. I'm like, what the fuck? How do these people, how are they, what? How are they alive? And this fucking stupid. He's like, yeah, they teach you the bullshit first. Oh shit. No, I think actually any like little like normal like biological thing, like if you just ask your professor, typically everything I've ever heard of, or even just like a high school bio teacher, will tell you that race is not a thing. Especially as we understand it. Like it's a social reality, so it exists like that, like democracy does. It's a system of social realities. But it's not a thing that exists like, say, I don't know, the table that that my stuff is on right now, or the fucking scissor arm that's holding up the mic. It's not one of those things. They teach you the shit. Yeah, teach you like little stuff. Like they may use the races or whatever, or regions or whatever as an example. But if he would have stayed in school stayed on for genetics, he would have actually found that, yeah, actually the scientific consensus in that field is that race, especially as it's currently defined, just doesn't exist.
Boundaries separating continental populations from each other, and the continental populations themselves are not homogeneous. This is evident when you look at, for instance, the distribution of Y chromosome haplogroups across the globe. Categories like white, black, and Asian are therefore extremely arbitrary ways of dividing up a genetic continuum. In fact, there is no purely genetic justification for using, say, 5 race categories as opposed to just 1, or 300, or 3 million. Now, forget about the fact that genetics is one of the most rapidly advancing sciences on the face of the earth, and that Contra was using that map from 2005, thus making it completely obsolete, more or less. Though honestly, that would make my knowledge obsolete too, so that's why I'm going to move on. In case you swallowed...
So you're calling someone else stupid for knowing just as much as you do. So you're also stupid. Thanks. At least he's honest about it. Oh, boys, we got him. Gentlemen, we got him. Oh shit, boys. All right, let's see. Let's see how recent we can get. This is race isn't real. We got National Geographic. We got as late as 2017. This seems to still be the scientific consensus on the idea, the concept of race, especially as it's understood. 2017. That's the latest we can find from any sort of decently reputable source where they cite an expert. That's it, that 2017. It's still the thing. You lose that argument. You suck. Eat a dick. Stop being stupid.
That info without thinking about it skeptically because you were distracted by the hypnotizing music or whatever, the countering argument would be to say something like, sure, maybe you shouldn't divide races into 5 categories. Maybe we should divide them into more like 20 or 30 based around various common pools of genetic phenotype groupings from around the world. But of course, Contra doesn't think anything of the sort because after Contra went to all that trouble to basically claim that there's only one race, the human race, Contra ends up saying at the end of the video,
race may be a social construct, but it's not an illusion. It's real in the way that money is real. It affects the way we all experience the world, and real people are privileged and disadvantaged because of it. So even if our goal is a society where race doesn't exist, we can't get there by denying the political reality of race and racial injustice. Colorblindness, in other words, is not the answer. However,
clearly, it would seem if you look at the self-contradiction between those two ideas, that Contrapoints...
No, the fuck they're not. It's not a contradiction. Saying that this is not a biologically valid form of fucking taxonomy does not mean that there's no fucking social consequences for the belief that it is a biologically valid taxonomy. That's fucking stupid. This is the same dumb bullshit that he pulled earlier in the video when I was on, where he talked about how like Contra was at the XO festival giving a talk and talking about how she had to transition and all this stuff, and he's like, and then says, in general, I advise you, like, don't be a woman. It's a bad idea. And I just no. 2 things can be true at once. That's not a contradiction. She could need to transition in order to live a truly happy and fulfilled life. Just like you can have, like, race not be a really grounded, scientifically speaking, concept, while also still acknowledging its social consequences and realities, the way that it affects things politically, etc., etc. Like, no, that's not a contradiction. That is not doublethink. You are fucking stupid.
This is basically trying to say, you're only allowed to claim that genetic phenotypes have different notable grouping differentiations between populations if you agree with my leftist politics, or something silly like that. Because although it sounds like Contra might want meritocracy, Contra definitely still wants affirmative action. Just no race realism or actually treating each other as equals allowed. But of course, being that the video is about 15 minutes of seemingly purposefully obfuscated filler designed to disarm the audience's patience and thus critical thinking, most people don't pick up on what was really being said and how self-contradicting it was. Next, let's look at Contra's video about Jordan Peterson, where within 2 minutes, Contrapoints blatantly lies about Jordan Peterson's objection to Bill C-16, kind of like what they were saying in the live stream with Lauren Chen.
So who's Jordan Peterson? Well, he's a psychology professor at the University of Toronto who got famous for sounding the alarm about how protecting transgender people under Canadian human rights law shall surely lead to Stalinism.
No Contra. Literally everybody who has actually followed Jordan Peterson knows that he's said dozens and dozens of times that
a person is compelled under Canadian law to use the pronoun of another individual's choice on pain of law. And I thought, well, no, that's not acceptable. It's one thing to put limits on what a person can't say, like say with hate speech laws, which I also don't agree with, by the way, but that's a different argument. I think it's a narrower argument.
But he continues.
But to compel me to use a certain content when I'm formulating my thoughts or my actions under threat of legislative action, I thought, no, what's happened there is the government has introduced compelled speech legislation into the private sphere. It's never happened in the history of English common law. And so I said,
what? He's wrong. It's not compelled. You, a person on the street, don't have to do that. It only applies to you if you're if you're someone's teacher, their landlord, or their employer. And those are relationships where you're the person with power. So if you're misgendering them, essentially bullying them for being trans, it's a really bad look. It's a really bad meme. Like, what the fuck? They're just added as a protected class. That's it. That's it. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can make this same argument for something else. Like, let's say you like calling fucking black people fucking the N-word. Like, that's just your deal. That's your fucking jam. And now the law comes in, at least in Canada anyway, and compels you as a business owner or as a landlord or whatever that you can't call them that. You must call them black, or you must call them African Canadian or whatever it is, or Jamaican Canadian, whatever, wherever the fuck they're from. You could argue that they're compelling you to speak a certain way. Right? By taking your ability to say the word that you want to say away from you. This argument can be made, right? Like, you could do that. And you'd still be as galaxy-brained as Peterson is on this issue. That's so stupid. Like, it's essentially like, I want the right to be able to bully somebody and just get away with it. Like, that's it. Like, that's just it. Not to mention that stuff that we mentioned when I got on just a little bit ago about how hard this would be to prove in a court of law, that they did it on purpose and all this stuff in order to even get shit pushed through in a hearing to be able to, for you to even get this fucking fine. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm like, thanks, man.
there's no way I'm abiding by that. I don't care what your damn rationale is. We're compassionate. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're playing this radical collectivist left-wing game.
However, the thing is that Contra is not actually attempting to fairly argue against Jordan Peterson in any way, shape, or form, because clearly, Contra's video is not intended for fans or people who have actually checked out Peterson in the least. Rather,
she's making fun of him because his view is incoherent. He has the actual Canadian Bar Association said, nah, like, no, he's stupid. That makes no sense. That's not what this law is or what it does. So as every other legal expert that's ever been asked about it, we haven't seen anyone go to jail for this yet. We haven't, like, none of the things that he's saying would happen, happened. And laws like these already exist on the books in Canada. They added them to the Canadian equivalent of protected classes here in the US. That's it. Nothing happened. Nothing was lost. So with all that context, like, you can't do anything. You can't help but mock that person. That makes no sense. Nothing they're saying is real. None of it. It was essentially just like a fucking conspiracy theory.
Contra's video's target audience is clearly the out-to-lunch blue pill crowd who knows nothing about Jordan Peterson besides the fact that all of their feminist friends hate him but won't say exactly why. So Contra pretends to give them a well-reasoned and detailed video about why Peterson can be dismissed, but does so by simply lying about him. I won't go through more of that video because, well, of course it's really long, but I can assure any actual fans of Peterson's work who follow his talking points and why he is worried about the rise of the identitarian neo-Marxist left and compelled speech, especially in regards to gender-neutral pronouns, that you will find the video completely dishonest. I even made this video, which debunks some more of Contra's video about Peterson. Finally, the last thing I said I would mention was going to be
That's one of the first videos that YouTube for some reason recommended to me. So he attempts to say that since postmodernism and Marxism employ some of the same types of terms in their ideology, such as critical theory or whatever, that they're the same, that postmodernism is essentially the evolution of Marxism. But that makes no fucking sense, because when postmodernism came about, the Marxist left was mostly still going strong. So they really wouldn't have a need to mutate or deviate and go into one of these people. And also, some of the biggest fucking postmodernist thinkers were, in fact, anti-Marxists. They were typically also somewhat of anti-capitalist, but they were also anti-Marxism, because they didn't believe in the idea of meta-narrative. Which is why, the statement, postmodernism has nothing to do with Marxism, is true under the rigorously defined technical philosophical definition of both of those fucking words. In his fucking, what is it, like almost like 30 whatever hour minute long waffling, does not change this. You don't get to come in and just change up academic terms just because you fucking feel like it.
Be about accusing people of exactly what Contra does themselves.
Sometimes irony can be a safe way to explore ideas that you're not quite ready to own yet.
Now, honestly, everybody does that, including myself and including Contrapoints, and Contrapoints admits to that, which is one of the reasons why I look at Contrapoints videos and sometimes miss the cooler people in the left. See what I did there? But problem is, Contrapoints takes it a step too far right here.
But this is why one way to be authentic. You don't have to be a diarist. You can also be a novelist, metaphorically speaking. So it's possible to express yourself through lying, or you can be yourself by becoming someone else. So this is a technique that I've used on my channel to...
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, because I think that the better thing to say is that actually you just lie about things that are demonstrably true, or untrue, claiming it's the other. And there's also all sorts of things that Contrapoints accuses other people of doing that they do all the time. Anyhow. But
okay,
reality,
please.
Everybody is
you didn't
able
prove
to tell
that.
when Contra is actually serious, such as how they were when they said that Enlightenment values should be replaced with social justice, or maybe that they are being, and obviously that Contra wants that. But sadly, a lot of people don't understand that basically all Contra does is state dishonesties, spew doublethink, and contradict themselves, including people that were at some point actually fans of Peterson, right-wing pundits like Ben Shapiro, or centrist channels like Sargon's and my own. Yes, as I...
Sargon is not a centrist. He is a fucking member of UKIP, and they're talking about possibly running him as a PM. Well, in an election for PM. Or is it just Parliament? They just want to put him in Parliament. But yeah, fucking no. Shut up, damn you. Irritating. But anyway, hey, you want to fight? You want to fight me? Is that what you messing with me? No. No. Shut up. No. But anyway. Yeah, he's not a centrist, and you're not a fucking centrist. You unironically identify as a red pillar, and unironically identify as an MRA, and unironically oppose every bit of progressive ideology and are anti-socialist, anti-communist. You are a right-winger very firmly.
Stated at the beginning of this video, assuming they aren't all sock puppets or paid trolls or whatever.
Here's the take on Disney and Star Wars. Oh boy, and no, would he go through the whole they're Mary Sue's or what? Oh, Raise and Mary Sue and all this other memes or what?
It's been a very peculiar thing to find out that some people who have enjoyed my channel immensely and have repeatedly donated money to me, or are generous patrons of Sargon's and thus are in his more exclusive Discord rooms, have ended up becoming Contrapoints fans and failing to understand why on earth I would criticize this YouTuber. But you see, as hard as it is for a lot of people to fully admit, Anita Sarkeesian as well actually was.
Disney equals SJW. Nothing they've even done or whatever is even remotely propaganda, and denies that his material and other popular don't put out propaganda. Don't follow himself. What? Oh, is that Kazoom? What's up, man? Oh shit. What's up? I wouldn't expect that from you. I thought that you guys would get along. Huh. But yeah, I did go over that point earlier, actually. It was really weird because I'm like, dude, almost everything that everyone puts out like can be propaganda. The literal textbook definition is a thing, a piece of media, whether it be writing, video, probably, I think you could put games in there. Maybe the definition just hasn't been updated. That's made with the purpose of attempting to elicit a emotional reaction. He wants that emotional reaction. He wants you to come away from this feeling the same way that he does about Contrapoints. Not just only intellectually, but emotionally. These things are tied. Weird. Like that's the point. I feel like it's because there's like that weird right wing and that why this might make some people upset, but that toxic masculine tendency to attempt to deviate logic from emotion when they're not here. They're here. Like they're there. They're not necessarily one and the same, but they're very much so big parts of each other. Like that's how that works. Like all of it. Like all of it's connected. Like period. It's really, really weird. Like you see it. Like anything that anyone argues. Typically the positions that we hold them also not because we think they're right, but because we also find them a lot of times to be emotionally satisfying. Right? Like being right is great, and that's what you would, of course, you want. But like, if a thing is not emotionally satisfying, most people are very hard pressed to accept it. Like, it's really, I don't, like, dude, oh my God, it's so weird.
Was a very controversial turning point on YouTube back in 2014 and 2015, as it was around that time that numerous otherwise rational atheist channels like Steve Shives forsook their atheist beliefs and fell for the feminist religion without ever admitting that a religion is precisely what it is. And although I wasn't around to witness it, many of these people sided with Anita Sarkeesian ahead of her critics. That's yet another reason why it seems as if Contrapoints is a similar figure. Only it was a lot easier to debunk Anita. Now, there's a number of reasons why people are going the Contrapoints route, so I'll just list a few of them from the get-go. For one, the type of content once known as anti-SJW or the skeptic sphere is but a pale imitation of what it once was, because so many of those channels threw in the towel after their videos were demonetized. They could no longer grow in terms of subscribers due to all of the systemic sabotage type reasons I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and also...
Most of those people, you're at a smaller level. When you're at a smaller level, you have to work harder on YouTube. Period. You have to try much harder. And if you begin to be someone like you with a couple thousand subs, you have to keep it going. You have to do the thing. Like there was a point, I think Kazum, you watched him for like a really long time. I think you're still you're subscribed to him. I think. I'm not sure. Like he went through a time, right? Like where videos as a smaller channel, where like videos were coming out more and more scarcely. You can't do that on YouTube. You have those couple thousand people, that fucking 13, whatever. Like you can't do that. Once you get there, typically you see that once you hit that 1,000 mark, and you start to kind of snowball. You have to keep that going. You have to keep pushing that ball, or else YouTube will fuck you. Is it fucked up? Is it bad that they try to that the way the shit is set up, that they expect almost like weekly content from people who are likely not making much money from this at all? Yeah, but that's how it is. And it's really weird to be like that. Like, like, what is this? Like, everyone has seen this. And there are larger YouTubers who will tell you this, who talk about how, like, if they don't continue to upload, like, daily or a couple times a week or every 2 weeks on schedule, they risk not getting recommended to people. And given the state of like sub boxes, and it seems like I feel like they kind of like have been experimenting with like showing and not showing you people who you do or you don't, whose videos you do and you don't kind of interact with as much. right? Like I've noticed there are a lot of people I'm still subscribed to, but I don't see their videos. But when I click their profile, I do see that they did upload something new. But since I skipped a couple videos, I didn't see it in my feed. It could be I just missed it, but it seems like kind of like on Facebook, you stop seeing as much stuff from people who you don't interact with. At least that's what it appears to be to me, and it's a fairly whatever way to try and streamline and try and make your shit efficient. Like we're not gonna unadd this person from your thing or whatever, but you haven't been interacting with them as much lately, so we're gonna like kind of filter them out or whatever. Like yeah, so people are living and dying by recommendeds, and one of the things with being recommended is watch time. You're not continuing pushing that fucking ball, so you're not getting the fucking watch time, so you're not getting recommended, so you're not growing. You can't do that. You can't do YouTube wrong and then get upset. And also, the demonetization thing hit all types of people. People who make innocuous content, people who make fucking daily vlogs, especially like people who make left-wing content. Like that's just how that is. Like I don't know what you want to happen with that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so super fucking just at the fucking like conservative people with their victim complex when it comes to this platform, because they've got it all. They've got it so made. It's like the fan base for reactionary bullshit is just right there. It's built right in, and they just and so many of these dudes, like, they fumble it or they stagnate because they don't do anything with their videos in terms of like upping somewhat of like production value, and then they get upset when they stagnate and they stop being recommended to people, etc., etc. Or they use titles or say inflammatory dumb shit in their videos or whatever, and then get like age restricted or whatever, and like kind of like fuck themselves, and they get upset. Like I don't know. I'm sorry. What's I'm saying? But he's just gotten so talented. Yeah, he started small, and yeah, YouTube screws people over. Like exactly. That seemed like an ironic contradiction. Is atheism also a religion? I mean, it according to the Supreme Court, it technically is, and that's how they protect those of us who are atheists under the law. But I don't know. But technically, feminism is an ideology. I guess you, depending on how you view it, or if you would do or do not agree with some of its central like claims, like axioms, I guess you could say. Maybe you think of it as a religion because you don't think things like patriarchy are real or whatever. They have long discussions and they write books on the subject and meetings. Who does? Oh, you talking about YouTube? Oh, you mean bigger YouTubers talking about like how the thing does? Okay, Facebook in their top stories feed. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it gives you whatever, but then it also sometimes it gives you stuff, and I feel like I don't really. I don't know what you people think of me, but I don't know. I thought they got rid of that though. But it used to be there, and the top stories feed used to be only filled with mostly liberal stuff because that's what I interacted with. Right? It's not like the other stuff, even the stuff that was like oppositional that I did try to keep up with to not be in a total echo chamber. Like it was still there, and those people I'm friends with, whatever, were still there, but I wasn't seeing their stuff like that because I wasn't interacting with it. Because I mean, I just wasn't necessarily that interested in turning my Facebook into a fucking war zone. It's hard to grow. Right. This is the one that recently made me question the right tilting that I've been heading towards lately. And I had a very toxic spat on Twitter. Oh, did he accuse you of being a paid troll? Because that's what happened when I first ever interacted with him on Twitter. He accused me of being paid to be a little too progressive for his liking. I don't get these people. What do they want? like I want to know, what do they actually want from, like, what do they want from the left? Right? Like, do you want us to just completely abandon the project of like gender equality and like racial justice? Like, you want us to just like what? To just like abandon every effort to attempt to level the playing field in some way, like all of it, and just let the pieces fall where they may? If that is like, but also if we're gonna do that, like, what's the point of even doing politics or anything, right? Like, that, I don't know. Like, what is? I don't know what these people want. I mean, maybe they just want us to just shut up and go away, and whatever. But I don't know. It's hard everywhere except maybe Instagram. Instagram can only not be hard if you're maybe exceptionally funny, and maybe you can afford to like get like some chicks from Instagram to like be in posts with you or in videos on your Instagram, like, you know, like chicks with the big fucking the vavoom fucking, you know, builder bodies, as what we call them in this house. Some people treat their atheism like people treat their religion. That's pretty true. That is pretty scary. Prince of Queens wants to be worshipped. I got called an extreme left Hillary supporter. Is that all of them? Okay, I think that's. My dad is an atheist. My other dad's not. My Insta sucks, but I get new followers every new post I put in a hashtag. Yeah. One of the big ones now is on Instagram was it explore page, hashtag explore page. But yeah, maybe he does want to be worshipped, because this is literally spurred on by like someone telling him, hey, I like you and I like Contra, but why do you hate Contra so much? He made an hour-long video where the first half is him telling us, like, setting us up for the idea that Contrapoints is actually just a corporate-backed, controlled opposition put there by left-wing media and YouTube itself to subvert anti-SJW people.
So, because it was hard to find good bedroom feminist style videos to make responses to, and unlike myself, a lot of those channels did rely a lot on response videos. Being that there weren't a whole lot of people making response videos to that type of content, it was easier for the news stars of LeftTube to get more views and subscribers. Being that, as Tim Pool highlighted in this video about the algorithm's recommendation, leftist YouTubers do definitely get preferential treatment in the algorithms, and we can assume YouTube doesn't automatically unsubscribe people from their channels. Next, seemingly all...
That's not true. That affects everyone. At one point, I was fucking purged from being subscribed to H Bomber Guy. I've been subbed to him since the fucking anti-feminism versus facts video, and one day I just whatever, and I was seeing on Twitter that he made a video, and it just wasn't there, like, right? And I scrolled through my thing and I noticed that he wasn't whatever, so I typed him up. I went to his channel and showed that I wasn't subscribed to him. Like, my dude, like, it happens. Like, it seems to be like a thing that just happens widespread, and it probably happens because also he doesn't make videos like a lot. So sometimes he goes through large spells where he doesn't make a video. But yeah, that was like a really weird thing. I have no idea why they think this only happens to them. And also on top of that, another thing about it though is also a big reason I feel like this stuff, that even when I was very much so taken in by it, like, full disclosure, like I was there, like, flat out basically being someone's like that black friend. Like I even like on my original Twitter fucking tweeted Gamergate bullshit, that repeated the same dumb talking points about ethics in game journalism, and fucking telling people that that I'm not their shield to push their whatever. Just ugh. Oh God. Hashtag kill young me. Kill me. Kill young me. Oh, we gotta go back to the past and kill young me. God damn it. Oh, but right. And one of the big things about that was also it played to certain ingrained biases I already had. And it was new. Like, it was pretty bog standard to see very particularly liberal people in mainstream YouTube. But then, like, these bees come out and they're speaking the facts and they're so, like, whatever and edgy and brave and whatever. And I ended up fucking donating to fucking Targon of Akkad on Patreon for a while. It just, yeah, like it was a ride, and it was a big part of it also because it was new. That kind of content wasn't really around, except, you know, somewhat in the way of like there was that race realist dumb bullshit, and of course they got like basically like BTFO'd, which is good, but like yeah, that sort of weird kind of hard right, almost hard right, but not, yeah, kind of like it was a thing. And rallying around things like Sarkeesian and certain you know, crazy SJWs or whatever, it was like it became like a really, I feel like it became like a really big tent thing. Like there were people who unironically wanted like universal healthcare or whatever, but who like hated feminism and all this other stuff. Like it was like a thing, and it was fresh and it was new and it was exciting, and it was like, yeah, this is the revolution of new media, and these are like the real voices of the people, blah blah blah. But they didn't have anything to really oppose them besides like bedroom feminists and all this other dumb shit. So like, as these things began to die out and the big boys just became, you know, the big boys, things kind of got stagnant. And what happens is when an ideology becomes, and that's born out of like just sheer osmosis, as opposed to say coming out of debate, right? Like more than likely no one's gonna get me to stop being an atheist, because the reason why I'm an atheist is due to a debate online, especially like a lot of argumentation, a lot of argument. That sort of thing didn't really happen, I feel like, with the anti-SJW thing. It just like was like everyone essentially thought this way. Even on channels where I thought things were mostly neutral ground, most people hated Sarkeesian, somewhat of implicit and somewhat approved of Gamergate, etc. And yeah, it's just like the norm. And then these people come with like higher production values and better mics and better cameras and actual like well-written like scripts with like jokes and quips and lighting effects and better editing, etc. And they come through, and not only do they be entertaining, they bust up your narrative. Not just with like their just waffling, but like with actual evidence. Of course you were gonna fucking flounder. Like, of course. Like, what the fuck? You actually, like, it's really weird that a bunch of weirdos with like animal avatars really thought they were gonna stand a chance against people who were actually trying. Right? But like, of course, I mean, your opposition is typically videos or whatever of like crazy SJWs or whatever that everyone's just kind of, you know, just going through the motions, like, yeah, look at those people, haha. And then when you come against some sort of actual opposition, of course, a certain amount of the audience, they're gonna gravitate to them in the same way that they gravitated to you, because your shit was new and fresh, and they never heard it before, and they never thought of things that way, and it converted them that way, and at least some people, that's also going to convert them to being more left wing. And of course, the whole, you know, debunking their memes or whatever also helps with that. Like, It's really weird. It's like they don't see this. Like it's like he's stuck in the past. Like to some extent, a certain amount of this stuff, especially in particular avenues of the internet, his beliefs and things that he says are still very much so mainstream. But there's still consistently a growing strain of people who think like I do or how Contra does. And he's so taken aback by that. He's so flabbergasted that he has to come up with some sort of weird conspiracy theory as to why it happened. Like, it's not that our content is not really that well made. It's not that our scripts or whatever are not really that interesting. It's not that fucking reply girl bullshit can only get you so far. No, it's not that this stuff is like stagnant or whatever. It's not that our community is like somewhat of like unironically pretty fucking toxic. No, it's the corporate media and YouTube and all this other stuff funding these people and favoring them in the algorithm. I'm sorry. I had over 100 people purge from me. Exactly. It happened, like, and you're a completely apolitical fucking dude who just didn't even put your face in the fucking videos. It's just you playing a video game. 5 years ago. Real NYS. I'm still not a fan of Anita, but I do think it mostly turned into harassment, regardless of what it was originally supposed to be. I mean, oh my god. I tend to err on the innuendo studios side of like idiots like me and some other people who still believe that it was about something good, or people who were dumb and taken in by the people who actually started the thing and essentially this raid, which is the boards and shit. Right, like it was the bad actors that everyone talks about. It was their movement first, right? And you see that like this is like where all this stuff came from, right? Like the conspiracies original post or whatever was posted in different places, but also posted like when it got to the boards, that's when it took off, and that's who initially really kicked a lot of this stuff off. Like it, and all of us who were outside of the boards, outside of the Chan culture and shit, we came after. So like I err on that, like it was their bullshit, and we came after and became essentially shields for a bunch of dickheads to fuck with people online. Right back then, someone shared the Visa on our games. Yeah, and they got banned from there before. And then the place where it later on took its real new life was like on I think it was on Poll, or was it was either on Poll or VG itself. But it got posted to the boards and then shared between the boards, and then all the raids and stuff on Twitter and all that from the boards started going after, Zoe, who, full disclosure, is kind of a piece of shit in her own right. Just by the way, not a great person. It has nothing to do with like sleeping in the top or whatever. Just not a great person. Not too great towards her trans friends. The book that she put out, people who happen to be trans women did help her write and edit and source and stuff, and she agreed that they would get something out of that, and I'm not sure if they have. I saw this post some time ago, but it would appear that they did not. She whatever and let them out to dry, and yeah, not a great lady. a lot of times. Yeah. Yeah, but the original R Games post was like banned within like a couple hours to maybe a day.
Of the LeftTube usual suspects employ a strategy of making their videos excessively long, which makes them relatively response-proof, as most response videos are made by going through the majority of the statements within each short video. But people would be worried about making an hour-long video debunking 3 arrows or Sean. As I already mentioned about Contra's deliberate obfuscation of—
That's not fucking true. That's not fucking true. Bad Mouse makes really long ass videos, and V responded to him and made a fucking big long ass mega response video to him as well. And this fucking stream or whatever is gonna be long as shit of me responding to you. It took a whole 2 separate streams. It's not response proof. You're just fucking lazy. And any of the stuff that you're talking about, but that's just visual flair or jokes or whatever, you can always just edit that shit out, or do what Sean does and fucking summarize their points and then just use particular clips as evidence that they do believe this and then argue against it in your video. There are ways around the fact that these videos are long. You're just saying hey, we're pretty fucking lazy, and yeah, our format of essentially reactionary react videos was only really good against fucking 16-year-olds in their bedrooms telling you why feminism is lit, dog. So yeah, that's all right.
their own points, it's almost as if Contra was coached into making videos long, indirect, and conversationally obtuse and thus confusing, which would make it harder for people to easily respond to, simply due to how daunting and tedious of a task it would be to respond to a 45-minute video full of run-on sentences, $2 words, humoristic subject changes, and alleged points that go all the way to Zimbabwe and back. But you see, obfuscation by itself is a psychologically disarming tactic, like I mentioned before, and it by no means merely serves to make it hard to respond and debunk the sorry excuse for logic within these videos. No, Contra is not simply trying to make it hard to make response videos, but rather, Contrapoints is attempting to intellectually wear out your skepticism, because for whatever psychological reason, when viewers feel like they don't entirely follow something that at least sounds to them as if it's intelligent and well put together, most people will decide to agree with it, at least if they already wanted to, in spite of the fact that they don't even entirely understand what exactly they are signing up for. Now, I'm not an expert of psychology.
Little boy is intimidated by Contra. Oh god. Yeah, that's essentially what he said. Like, I'm intimidated by the length in all her video, so we don't make response. Okay, and then also there are people who made response videos to Contra. Actually, didn't Sarah? I can't pronounce her last name, but Sarah, not Sarah Z, but her last name starts with a Z. She made a response video to The Aesthetic. Right? It wasn't like a direct point by point, essentially a react video, like what we're doing here, essentially. But she did talk about the video. She watched the long ass video of The Aesthetic and made a response to it. It was in support of it, and a little bit of it mixed in with the response to her critics. But she did it. If she can do it, you can do it. Like, no, like, you just, I don't know. And also, now you're somewhat of making responses to her right now. Well, not really, because he just cuts out random like parts of the video that he feels like make his point, but not really. It's like a weird gay redheaded version of Leafy is here. Oh wait, what? Oh hey Gwen. I never thought I'd see you in these parts. What's going on? How's it going? Don't need to. Exactly. Like, you don't need to go through go through everything in painstaking detail or whatever, kind of like what I'm doing, right? Because you can kind of get this format, you can do that on a live stream, but you don't have to do that. Oh my god, like, you don't have to do that at all. Like, you don't have to do that at all. Like, I think there are points or whatever that come up in Stefan Molyneux's video about the native genocide or whatever that Sean doesn't address in his response video to it, because he just didn't feel like they were relevant, or he skipped over them. And the same thing with certain things in the Black Pitch and Speaks videos and stuff that he skipped over as well. And same thing with his response to Paul Joseph Watson, etc., etc. Everyone does that. That's a part of video, or even sort of media creation. You edit things. Books before they come out are edited. Articles before they come out are edited. Videos before they come out are edited. Movies before they come out are edited. In fact, it is arguably that a movie, if we're talking about like a visual medium, isn't actually made until the editing is like takes place, right? Like, the edit is where we get the actual movie from, right? Like, all the footage and stuff is shot and the shots are done or whatever, but all that stuff is brought together. What you get is what you call the actual movie comes together in the edit. Just edit, motherfucker. Just edit. If like it's relevant, or just some whatever things that you call it, some irrelevant, humoristic, unfunny, humoristic subject change, just edit it out. Easy.
So I can't exactly explain in great detail why that is, but as a person who did study media, writing, and theater almost exclusively at university, and even interned at a film distribution company, I'm very well versed in the ways in which both propagandists like Contrapoints and even advertisers use the same tactics to disarm people's critical thinking for their own ends. Many of these psychological manipulation tactics.
If flashing lights and a fabulous costume is all it takes to disarm you from believing what you believe, probably shouldn't have been believing it in the first place, because that's some really weak sauce, boys. I don't care how well dressed or how cool or how slick your editing is. If your shit is a video all about, I don't know, racial realism or why the poor actually deserve to be fucked, I'm not gonna side with you at all. No matter how articulate, none of that shit. You're weird. You're really weird. Like, they talk about how, like, when we talk about deplatforming things like fascism and stuff, because at least even if you debate those people, their ideas are being spread, and they say like, oh, well, you're thinking so poorly of people. You know, what makes you think that people would side with the fascists even if all their points are actually being pretty well rebutted? Like, that's unfair. I don't think that's true of people. I feel like you should give people a shot. Blah blah blah. He's doing the exact same thing. Like, he's saying that somehow these editing tricks and lighting tricks or whatever is somehow going to make people who allegedly hardline truly believe in the things that they believe, it's gonna, I don't know, trick their brain into becoming a leftist or whatever it is. I don't know. All of this just sounds like you're just intimidated by her video style, and feel as if making a response to it would be very daunting because of its length and all the cuts and edits and all this other stuff. So like, this is what it is. Like, you're mad that you feel like you according to, by your own admission, that she's response proof, and you're mad that she has a fan base that attacked you after you attacked her, and you're mad that you did YouTube wrong and aren't seeing the results and growth that you wanted. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you. I know YouTube can be rough, especially when you're smaller. I'm much smaller than you. I understand. But like, my dude, get a fucking grip. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, for anyone, croissant sandwich, who got that? Like, dog. This guy might have a squirrel brain. He knows his audience. People. Oh shit. But like, yeah, but anyone who just tuning in, so I think Gwen just got here. This video essentially, like, you read it. Contrapoints is Anita Sarkeesian 2.0. So his thing is that Anita, just like Contrapoint or whatever, they're essentially corporate, old media leftist, whatever, put here to subvert people like him. So essentially, Contrapoints and Ali and Harris and all that are all controlled opposition, essentially. And we're there to, you know, I don't know, push the real YouTubers that people actually like out of, you know, the YouTube space. And he's like his whole big thing was like these weird tenuous connections and similarities between Natalie and Anita, and weird things like Vice did a piece on her. This is essentially just a commercial for her channel. Corporate sponsorship much? Like, and just oof. It's a whole lot of oof shit. Okay, and I don't know. I don't know why you would go to this length. It's just so much easier just to say like just decent to like great production value, especially when we're talking about YouTube. You know, remember what is his name? The Puerto Rican boy. He's such a chubby little cutie. He's like, bitch, this is YouTube. This is not the Oscars. Like, you know, it's not the Oscars, and she's treating it almost like it might be the Oscars, and people are taking note of that. And she's having success on the platform. Not to mention that, you know, her ideas are pretty good. No, it is the leftist corporate media and YouTube itself holding the right man down.
Tactics were developed during World War II by communist dictators like Joseph Stalin and arguably socialist fascists like Hitler. I would probably veer on the side of saying that he was as socialist as any other dictator, because, you know, I mean, people say that real socialism has never been tried anyway, so he was somebody who tried. The first psychologically...
It was someone who tried. I don't think so, because that's not what he wanted to do. He wants socialism. He hated it. He hated it. He hated Marxism because it came from a Jew. What? Oh my God. He's one of these memers. The fucking, he's a socialist because National Socialist, because they put socialist in their name. Oh shit. Oh my God.
disarming
these
tactical
multiversal
note
takes.
is irrelevant humor. Humor can be entertaining, obviously, and it can serve to drive the points of any video home, such as the jokes in Bering's videos, which almost unanimously are used to run with the actual arguments on the table in a logical, albeit funny, way. When watching Bering, you never have to think to yourself, why the hell did he just make that joke? Because he makes it very clear as to why he'd make these jokes. However, Contrapoints does almost no such thing ever. The jokes in Contrapoints videos are generally some combination of, first, absurdity of the most shallow nature imaginable.
So Jordan, Dr. Peterson, Professor, Daddy, let's talk. And for once, I'd like to actually treat this discussion with the seriousness and respect I think it deserves.
Okay.
Second, completely juvenile prodding of people that are smarter than them.
For example, the French postmodernist
Michel Foucault.
Sargon, you little goose,
Michel Foucault
wrote intellectual histories.
And third, which I already mentioned, those that...
You think Sargon's smarter than Contrapoints? Sargon dropped out of college twice. And without YouTube, he would likely be scraping by on benefits with his 2 fucking kids. Yes, this is the peak of intellectual superiority, all right? He is a big brain boy, all right? That's him, Carl. Carl doesn't read past the article Benjamin. Is smarter than Natalie, damn near has a doctorate in philosophy. When? That's what happened. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
That are only partially jokes, but you end up having trouble discerning which parts of the statements are joking and which are supposed to be serious.
I think to people watching this, it comes off as if leftists are like afraid of his actual ideas. But I'm not afraid of his ideas. I'm not afraid of anything. I just smoked a bunch of fucking PCP. Daddy. So I spent the last couple weeks listening to hours of Peterson's lectures and podcasts and reading his books.
Sure, there's an element of truth to the last statement, but since it's presented as a joke, it not only allows Contra to skirt out of any responsibility for the ways people interpret their statements, like Contra seemed to demonize
What was that? That was nothing. It's just a goofy segue. What's wrong with you? How was that an example of attempt of like obfuscation through humor? It's just literally just a little cutaway gag. Like, what was that?
Before, but it also largely serves to distract and confuse viewers, albeit slightly.
Hey, lots of people drop out 2 times. It probably, and I probably shouldn't, whatever, and talk about people scraping by on benefits. That's fine. I've done it through a nice amount of my childhood, and of course, at points here in adulthood. I recently actually just got a decent position that makes it so I don't qualify for any benefits at all. So yeah, shit's rough, and I apologize for attacking Carl somewhat on class basis. That's wrong. That is horrible rhetoric, bad praxis. But seriously, like, he couldn't even be bothered to fucking finish his undergrad. Come on, man. And he can't even be bothered to read the articles that he fucking puts on screen.
Thus disarming their critical thinking, at least momentarily. These types of humor being put into the scripts are designed to intellectually exhaust you, so that you just end up accepting as truth the obviously extremely serious statements that are delivered, even though they are by no means
this is almost over anyway.
It might not be the smartest thing to just dismiss it as some kind of sinister postmodern.
1 second. Okay, I have a date tonight, so we're gonna go movies. So we're gonna ×2 this. We're gonna get her done. Hold on, wait. Is the ride here? Did they call? Oh, you didn't pre-schedule it? Okay. Okay, where's your mom? Okay. All right. I mean, we still got maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of like trailers or something.
Modern neo-Marxist cuckoldry. It could be the next Reformation, in a history marked by a series of reformations. If there are any historians watching this, please call it the SJW Reformation.
Next, I want to talk about the music and phonetic visuals. Although mere distractions, these things are designed, again, to both confuse and subtly manipulate viewers, and are actually most commonly used in advertising, not just in television and web commercials, but even in storefronts, and, worst of all, in the mall, which is basically just a giant psychological manipulation megaplex designed to make you stay all day and buy as much stuff as possible. Think about going to the mall for a moment. The first thing you generally notice is that they are playing fairly loud pop music, and that there's bright lights everywhere, not unlike a Contrapoints video, though Contra's lighting is usually a bit dimmer, but there's a lot of shades to it. And different things work for different contexts. At the mall, you're first disoriented with a sensory overload, which can distract you entirely from what initially brought you to the mall in the first place, as you'll very often end up going to...
Huh? Yeah. There we go. No worries. Yeah.
To whichever store looks appealing first. For me, I often go to get shoes or something, but first go to GameStop. This is done on purpose, of course, and they also do other things. They put stores of similar types usually on the far end of the mall from each other, so that if they don't have, say, the right kind of cell phone that you wish to purchase at the first place that you go, you'll have to walk all the way through the mall to find the phone kiosk that hopefully has the new Samsung in stock or whatever, forcing you to walk by, you guessed it, GameStop, when you can't actually afford any new releases and the phone. Another thing they do deliberately, which seems totally bizarre to most people, is that they often tilt the maps of the mall to the side, so that north will be where east is supposed to be, and you thus get momentarily confused just long enough to see small advertisements for each store. More so, since most people end up walking around quite a lot in the malls, they also become tired eventually, and since it takes so long, very often hungry, which is why there's always a food court. And to add insult to injury, people are more likely to go back and buy that extra pair of shoes that they can't afford, or that video game, after thinking about how much they want them during the meal. That being said, Contrapoints videos are basically the exact same thing. They have music going on, but it serves a different purpose. Contrapoints uses different styles of background music, depending upon what Contra is trying to say about a speaker or idea at any time. For example,
that's a normal part of fucking a filmography. You use music for effect all the time. Like, people do that in Hollywood movies. People do it in YouTube videos. It's fine. That's a normal thing. And what he said about them all, actually, I largely agree with, and I think that's like factually correct. But like, I don't know how that's like a thing that is supposed to. Oh, okay, let's see here.
When Contrapoints is trying to make fun of dead old white men from past centuries with outdated ideas, which happens in a huge percentage of Contra's videos, there's always cringy sounding pretentious classical music, reminding people of the more annoying white people they've met, which makes people know for sure that Contra is playing a character that the audience is supposed to hate.
Oh, like when you use a weird little imitating grating like voice that you used earlier, that's supposed to also signal to us, the audience of your video, that we're supposed to dislike Contra or know that you, at least you personally, don't like Contra. You're doing the same thing but on a budget. I don't know, like I don't know what is supposed to be happening here. I don't, what is this? Why does this exist? Why it's why does this exist? Why is this happening? Why would you do this? Natalie actually uses classical music because it's her favorite genre as well. We were talking about it on stream. Yeah, I remember I've been like a fan and following Natalie like even like way before she had transitioned actually. So like yeah, she's always been into classical music. I remember one time she got dogpiled on YouTube at one point by like, it wasn't trying to be like that pretentious classical is the highest form of art, but like essentially like singing its praises about how awesome and whatever it is to her and the many feelings that she felt like it can evoke. Yeah. So like that, but yeah, that bit of context is pretty important as well. Because also it's there's always classical music playing there, but there's often a lot of classical music playing throughout all types of portions of the video because she just happens to like it.
Welcome to my very scientific race laboratory. May the pure light of reason guide us. We'll begin by measuring the superior dimensions of the Caucasoids. However, when Contrapoints is trying to say something that is supposed to be intelligent, and you're supposed to agree with it, there's always this vaguely hypnotic, subtly positive-sounding, psychedelic-ish electronic-type music, you know, as far as background music goes, because I guess the college kids still smoke reefer. So next time, they'll surely Pokemon Go to the polls.
In the next couple decades, this is going to be capitalism's great Chinese famine moment, only potentially it'll be much, much worse. This is probably the most important issue facing humanity in the 21st century, so we kinda need to fix it by any means necessary, beginning with rapid political change. If that means direct action, it means direct action.
I also noted before that Contra's videos are full of visual distractions, such as repeatedly putting long-winded paragraphs visually displayed upon a hard-to-read background, which makes most people tune out entirely, thinking to themselves, wow, she's really smart. What she said must be true, without actually really reading it or even listening to it all that much, because you're simultaneously looking at something and listening to a long-winded paragraph.
I mean, or you could just pause the video and read it, because this is a pre-recorded function. You know what? I gotta go, and this is just nothing but goofy nitpicks about how someone chooses to make a fucking YouTube video and how apparently he's too stupid to pause the video and just read it, and stupid is kind of ableist. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're fucking done here. Okay, we've gone through this basically this hour-long video. We get it. You're a little ass hurt that you don't YouTube right, and that Natalie is highly regarded, despite the fact that you happen to have a lowly opinion of her. I'm sorry. So, but you know, everyone, thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, you know, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out the links down there, and check me out on other places. I'm the most active on Twitter. I will see you guys later. And hopefully at some point I'll actually attempt to make prepared content. Hopefully not of the same vein. So yeah, I'll see you guys. But and shouts out to Gwen No Fear actually. So like, you know, everyone who's there, if you're on YouTube, you know, go check out Gwen. Go over there. She has good stuff. It's a very variety slice of life kind of channel. But she also does like video essays, and she streams and like does let's plays. It's good. That's good. See you next time. Have a good time. All right, man. Thanks, man. Oh, I don't know. It's still there. And it's public and it's public domain, right? It's really hard to get smacked with a copyright claim when you're doing that using classical music. So like, yeah, it's probably a better one than assuming sinister intent. But all right, I'm gonna get out of here. Go. What time? Oh my god, we started at 7:50. Oh my god, can I do it? I think we can make it. All right, I'll see you guys. Thanks. Bye. Love you. Be careful. Father, I love you. Proud of all you.